Welcome back. This is the morning show here on Signature TV. And so we're live with Mazi Chijoke Nwogo. We will be discussing communications and public relations job in academic circles. He is live via Zoom. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us, Mazi Chijoke Nwogo. Mazi, can you hear me? If you can, please unmute your mic if you can.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. First things first, what do you think is the role of communications and public relations in public institutions?
Thank you very much. The role of communication and public relations. If we go by the definition adopted at the Mexican statement of public relations, which was by most public relations practitioners, it defined public relation as the social science of analyzing trends, predicting the consequences, counseling organization leaders, and implementing planned programs and actions for the benefit of the organization and the public interest. And so if you go by this definition, you know that the role of communication starts from policy making. From the time an organization was established to, all throughout its gestation period, you carry the public relations experts along. They help in the policy making. They also help in implementing the policy. So the role of communication starts from the inception of the organization, and not just what is obtainable now, where probably the public relations experts or communication comes at the end, especially to clean up the mess sometimes. So the role of communication is encompassing in every organization, from policy making to implementing the policy. And of course, if there are consequences, from analyzing the situation, you predict the consequences, and you advise the leaders, and of course, help to implement whatever policy through the platforms that will be allowed by the organization.
Okay, Mr. Nwogo,
Okay.
if you can hear me, can you indicate?
Yes. I can hear you very
Okay,
well.
but then for you, what then should form a qualification for someone who handles communications and PR? I mean, we've seen several persons just by being personal assistants to the executive director or personal assistant to somebody within the office, they tend to just, hand them that position. I mean, how important do you think institutions should take communications and PR in the organization?
Okay, your first question is the qualification. Unfortunately, most people who handle these may not be qualified. Some who are qualified by, academically, having degrees in mass communication or communication arts. Okay, fine. But also that is not enough to qualify. I think in addition, the passion. Communication is something that, burns in you. It's not just that you studied mass communication or you studied public relations or other disciplines alike, but you have the desire at all points, that burning desire to be able to smell news, to be able to carry the organization along, to have that passion at all times, to be part of what the organization is doing. It's much more like in civil service where you have information officers. You just go to work, sign, and they probably only do that job when there is a release. information officers. I mean, some of them are well grounded and qualified for that job, but they don't give them enough responsibility to do. They don't carry them along in the establishment where they work. So qualification includes academic qualification, experience, and if I may add, passion for the job.
Okay, can you
I
highlight for
hope.
us the qualifications, you know, that would be needed for someone who would handle a communication for, you know, organizations and PR for that same organization? Because somehow you could say that they are kind of related. Are there specific qualifications that someone should have to be able to handle that, or is just about anybody who, you know, feels like they can do it?
I don't think it's about anybody who feels that they can do it. Even though there are people who have academic qualifications in the arts, mass communication, or some other disciplines outside mass communication, but just somewhere along the line, by the reason of their appointment somewhere, they went ahead to acquire other degrees in the arts. And of course, very important, especially for public relations experts, there are qualifications before you start manning an organization and becoming a PR expert in an organization. You must be qualified and you must be a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, at least from the associate level. You go from a student level to the associate level and other higher levels. But basically, mass communication is key. And for some of us who had first degrees, and I studied theater arts, and I had my postgraduate degree in mass communication and other qualifications. So the academic qualification is very important. Then secondly, professional qualification, because it is a professional qualification that gives you the basic training, the practical training of how to manage the organization's communication. So it is not an all-comers affair, like you said. It must be somebody who have the basics and somebody who have a professional qualification. Unfortunately, we have quacks, we have people, by the reason of their connections. If your uncle maybe has a company or an organization, probably become the public relations expert. Let me tell you something about, because there are different definitions and different practices of communication and public relations practice, as we have different organizations. For instance, the first place there was a place I worked as a public relations officer, and my major job there was marketing the organization. And because they needed people, they needed students. So all along, what I do as a public relations expert, despite the fact that I have all these background, all these degrees, I just market the university. No other platform, no other opportunity was given. And so for them, that is public relations. So you can understand it depends on the organization that you are working with. But in my definition, if you follow me, in actual practice, public relations communication should be an integral part of the organization from the very beginning. It is not just cleaning up the mess when something happened, or just like I mentioned, marketing the organization. It should be encompassing from the very beginning. You are part of the organization. You know the policies of the organization. And if anybody calls you anytime, you are there to defend. As a matter of fact, where I work, PR experts, communication experts, in certain places they call them image. They are the image of the organization. I remember a particular company, and one of the adverts that they did, they say image is everything. In other words, the PR expert, the communication expert, carries the image of the organization. In other words, you believe the organization, You are ready to defend the organization. You tell the truth from the perspective of the organization. And of course, you speak the organization, you talk the organization, you think the organization. And that makes you a whole communication expert. Somebody can wake you up any moment and you'll be able to talk about the organization because you know, because you are carried along from the very beginning. I don't know if I have spoken so much about it, but it's just something that I feel you must have a passion for. Not just because you're qualified. It's just like in the acting profession. There are actors who didn't study theater arts. So I understand some of them may have studied banking. I know of a few. There are also people who study theater arts. They don't have passion for the acting profession. I think to a reasonable extent, it goes the same way. You want to develop yourself after the academic discipline. You want to develop yourself practically in what you want to practice.
All right. How do you think social media is changing how PR and communication experts operate within the organization?
I didn't get that.
Mr. Walker, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I didn't get the question, please.
Okay, I was asking, how do you think social media is changing the way that communications and PR experts operate?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the aim thing, the new media. And many times the way we do our thing, you cannot continue just doing the job alone with the traditional media. The social media is prompt. The speed and sometimes the reach is much more. Something happens here. Look at us now. I'm here right here in United States. I'm communicating with you, there. So the social media have changed a whole lot of things. From the people who work in the communication and PR department, there must be people, who are good in this area. They can access news from any source and ensure that it is accurate. They can do a release promptly and it reaches so many places. And of course, you have the benefit with your phone. While you are doing that thing, you can just take pictures and immediately you post. And also social media, like there are some apps that we use that gives us instant information where I work. And whatever happens, I just alert. I get information of what somebody is writing or saying about the university where I work. And also some other social media has changed the landscape of public relations practice. It is helping a lot. And let me also tell you the danger. The danger for us in public relations, we have to fight against false publications. Somebody who do not know anything, who has not gotten any accurate information about a particular subject, will just post the news. And before you know it, it has gone viral. And now it is your responsibility to begin to defend, to begin to tell the truth. Just a picture away, we have bloggers, different bloggers that can just for content creation, they just post anything, particularly negative news. Remember, negative news sells much more. And you, as a communication expert, have to do your job. So while social media gives us some advantages, it also has a lot of disadvantages because we have to be on our toes all the time to know what people are saying about the organization where you work. Because any little bad publication, false publication, can damage the reputation of your organization. And so it has changed the landscape. It makes us work much more harder and also helps us in our jobs.
Right. So many people have said it is nearly impossible to operate as a PR person or even a communications expert without the tools, the social media tools. Do you think it's true? I mean, before the advent of social media, I mean, now that it's been rampant, that you could say people who are true and true professionals, who went through school, I mean, even got courses and certificates for their courses, and to be professionals in that field. But these days, I mean, people are no longer even hiring these experts. They rather go for social media managers. I mean, 21-year-old these days, people who are in school, who are undergraduates, are manning, special positions that are supposed to be, run by experts. Do you see that as a challenge, or do you see that as an opportunity?
It is both a challenge and an opportunity. My respect goes to those practitioners, and I think also when we started, even though just between the age when the social media becomes so pronounced and the old times, some of us were trained. I was trained both locally and internationally too, and I respect those practitioners. They are the ones they obey the rules. Let me give you an example. I studied theater arts, and from the stage productions, home video took over. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry who speaks good English probably probably be assigned a role in a production, either through connections or whatever. But a good actor and a good actress. I mean, from my own perspective, if you watch a stage performance, maybe my friend there will agree with me, you know a good actor and a good actress on stage. These are the people they put in a lot of efforts in characterization, in studying the line, in doing a whole lot of things. And now everybody can be an actor, an actress. And if you ask me, these old guys are still doing absolutely very well, even in the home videos and films. The same goes for public relations. Those PR experts with their degrees, with their professional qualifications, they set the standard. See, nothing, you can't buy experience from the market. Public relations is not just about writing news. It's not just about bringing pictures, making comments on social media. It requires much more. I told you, public relations is about image. You carry the image of the organization as an individual, wherever you go. I've sat down to listen to experts talk about public relations. And I tell you, there's a whole lot of difference when they talk. When they organize seminars, when they facilitate seminars and you listen to them, you know that these people are grounded in public relations, most of them. It's not recognizing the modern times where social media has taken over. And so the best thing is a marriage between the old and the young, the traditional media and the new media. And so a practitioner who have a grasp of both will excel in every organization. And I think that's the beauty of the social media.
All right. So there must be some sort of blend. I mean, you've mentioned that it is a challenge and
Absolutely.
also an opportunity for that, aspect. But for you
Exactly.
going forward, do you think it is important that PR executives and communications experts adopt artificial intelligence in their duty? I mean, it's also another menace. Some people will say it's an opportunity again, in that regard. How much of artificial intelligence do you think can be infused into PR work and communications, experts' engagements in communications?
As much as we can afford to acquire and practice. Remember, public relations is not local. The world is not is public relations is globalized. And so, in other climes, artificial intelligence is taking over even here in Nigeria. So, public relations should as well, follow the trend, learn as much as we can about artificial intelligence and also how to put it into practice, use it in the practice of public relations. But I guess probably the problem is most times, except the experts, the PR practitioner in his or her organization, decides to, take extra steps to be ahead. If organizations could give the opportunity to train public relation experts as well as others in the use of these modern trends, artificial intelligence, for instance, I mean, it would be so much helpful. Like I said, we are not just fighting against ourselves. We are not working again for ourselves. PR is global. And so if we want to also be recognized in the committee of global public relations practitioners, we must be able also to up our game and learn a lot and use artificial intelligence.
All right. How do you think that PR executive can adopt AI into their work? I mean, they say the use of AI, is faster than using your mind to create something. These days, with just a press of the button, a letter is written for you, something that would take you at least 30 minutes to write, to craft. Within seconds, you have letters written. If you are looking to basically learn a thing or two regarding PR or how to navigate certain issues within an environment, AI can help you analyze it and tell you what next to do. I mean, it's become very much easier with the adoption of AI. But how much of that do you think we can have in order to enhance our processes so we don't even kill the creativity that comes from humans?
I recommend moderation. For me, I recommend moderation. Honestly, I love football a lot. And sometimes when I follow coaches, most of the time, you see the game being played. I don't know, just already you see how these things work. Somebody manipulates, this person will pass to this person, before the actual game. And you think it's how exactly it's going to be. It might not be so. And so the same applies to public relations, where you have everything being generated, artificial intelligence. There are things that are peculiar to an organization. There are things that requires your, immediate creative input on the spot. That's why I say I recommend a gradual process. And of course, do remember too, if you get to a point where if AI is being used in everything, in public relations, in communication, a lot of people will also be out of jobs. So we need our jobs as well, while AI will be used moderately.
Do you see a situation where, PR executives, communications experts may not be needed with the growing, fear of the artificial intelligence with automation these days? I mean, with just a press of the button, you can actually access all social media platforms using one platform. Do you see a situation where PR executives, communications experts may not be needed, giving the kind of a fear that, or the rise of artificial intelligence?
My brother, the fear is real. As a matter of fact, now, um, what is happening in organizations now, in government establishments, is that they are gradually trying to erode the importance of the contributions of public relations already without AI, artificial intelligence. So how much more with artificial intelligence, where at the press at the bottom, just like you said, information will be generated, things will be done, and all that. But I think before we get to that level, our jobs requires quite a lot of things. Requires sometimes like well, it requires people physically handling some things, people physically handling cameras, people physically maybe two. Will you get to a point where artificial intelligence, somebody AI will put up somebody to moderate a program, to anchor a program? So I think it may be long. Public relations will still be needed. There are some things that public relations experts, communication experts will physically do. It is going to be long before we arrive to that level.
All right. So, what for you is the biggest challenge of communications in the academia, and how can it be resolved going forward?
Um, I will still go back to my definition of public relations. Just like I said, it was what public relations experts called the Mexican Statement that was adopted in 1974. And in that definition, I mentioned that public relations experts should be carried along from the very beginning. In some universities, it is so. Public relations experts, they are not just journalists, they are not just people who write news about the organization. I mean, in some institutions and organizations, there are people who are part and parcel of the policy. Because when you know a policy, when you know a thing, it will be easier for you, to be able to design programs, to design content that we promote that policy. And so one of the challenges is that in some institutions, public relations practitioners are relegated. In fact, in some institutions, the department or the unit or the directorate of public relations, some may not even have a public relations unit or public relations department. They think that anybody can do the public relations. Some are merged with some offices in the university. That's also the problem. The second problem, I think, is that of funding, because we do quite a lot. We do quite a lot. Use money to do. You need to monitor news. You need to write news. You need to do this. You need to see people from the very beginning. So sometimes you need that department, wherever it is in any university, should be funded as well. And public relations, the challenge of communication, challenge of public relations should not just be for the public relations unit. I always say, in an organization, public relations, we have different publics. Public relations starts even from the gates. You're entering an organization where you have the security personnel. It starts from there. So we require training for different units, different stakeholders. Let them know that they are also the image of the organization. It is not when maybe a receptionist in an organization does bad, and now the public relations expert is expected to, defend what he or she did. And so these units should be trained to know that they are also the image of the organization. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. For instance, I'm not mentioning any institution as well. You see in an organization where from the gate, the security men are not the way they relate to people who come to the organization. They harass the people who come, but they may even take money from them. You go to a particular unit, they demand so and so for an institution, for instance. Some institutions have bad records about, victimization, harassment, and all that. And at the end of the day, it is for the public relations unit to clean up the mess. So if these people can be able to carry the image of the organization, do what is right, the job of the PR experts becomes very easy. And of course, maybe in the government sector, there are PR experts and communication experts If your principal is doing very, very well, honestly speaking, you enjoy doing the job. In fact, you just promote the policy. You will be, so proud wherever you are. And not when a lot of issues are at stake. Some things have gone sour. These are things, decisions and policies should be made. Remember, it is about the public. It is all about the public. Governance is about the public. Institutions work for the public. The services they provide, they are for the public. And so if these things are taken ahead from the planning, policy making, designed towards that, it becomes easier. So these are multifaceted challenges for the public relations expert that he or she have to contend with. Again, wherever you are, you need the support of your organization, the recognition by your organization, and of course, a little freedom to do your job.
All right, I want to appreciate you for your time. A public affairs analyst and, of course, public relations and communications expert, Mazi Chijoke Nwongo. Many thanks for your time and your insight. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. More blessings.
God bless you too. It's January 30, 2025. It's the Thursday. I mean, it means that Friday will be the last day of the month, 2025. I'm talking about January. I hope you're prepared for what's coming. We are back right after this short break. Do stay with us.